thank you all for inviting us to talk on these topics. These topics are very passionate, and we are very passionate about these topics, and we are um, happy to talk and share what we know. Uh, Hopefully, we will make a little bit of change in your lives that will have a ripple effect in the future. Okay, so health and wellness. So I'll come to the topic throughout the presentation. I'll come to the topic where you guys are busy and time is a constraint and what you guys need to do. But let me touch base on the basics first. And I hope I won't be too elementary for you guys, but I think it's important for us to cover all bases before we go forward. Today, a brief introduction to wellness, and I will explain why I call it wellness and not just exercise. Exercise and wellness. How can exercise contribute to wellness? And I had a chat with Diniti before doing this presentation, and there are some common questions that you guys have asked, and I'm planning on answering 4 of them, which will cover most of the questions, I believe. And the basic exercise guidelines that comes very central to the work we do. So a brief introduction about myself. I've done my master's in exercise and science, and my research is in recovery mainly. All right. So I'm the founder of TAS, and our objective has been and will be to build a healthy community. So that is a tough thing to do because a healthy community, by definition, is a difficult thing to say. It can be overweight, it can be disease, it can be just inactivity, and there's no age limit. There's no gender issues. There's no start. There's no stop. When to start. So everything is up in the air. So there's no starting point. So building a healthy community is very generic or very open. So that's why it's very difficult. So right now, based on the data we have at the moment, if you take the entire island, almost 1/3 of the people are, I would say, susceptible to NCDs, and almost 86% of them are not into physical activity in terms of leisure, right? If they're physical activity due to work, yes, they have, but with the objective of being healthy, 86.7% of people don't exercise. And we were also quite shocked when we saw these numbers, but these are the latest data we have at the moment. So non-communicable diseases, a little bit of stats, global stats for you guys. The biggest health risk for employees in the corporate sector, non-communicable diseases, and 35 million people each year, equivalent to 67.9 of all the deaths globally are due to NCDs, right? And so these are the stats on these NCDs. These are generally what people catch, and catch as in due to their unhealthy lifestyles or lifestyle that might not be 100% suitable for. So, as I said at the start, what is wellness? Why do I say wellness without saying it's all about exercise, right? So, wellness is not only, sorry, okay, wellness is not only the absence of disease or illnesses, right? It's a complex combination of physical, mental, emotional, and social happiness. Why do we say emotional and social happiness? Because I think the biggest problem we have in the working sector right now, that including the professionals and people in the corporate, is stress. And so if you don't have your emotional and the social surrounding, that can cause stresses mentally and physically. Wellness is an active process of becoming aware. So that's a big point, because becoming aware is you understanding, not doing it because someone else is doing it, but you understanding and making a choice towards a healthy and happy lifestyle, right? So guys, therefore, the reason why I've used wellness is because you can't merely run an exercise program and come out disease free or illness free or have mental and physical peace. You need to understand the notion of wellness, and the wellness notion is very important, right? Why is it important for you, right? Uh, if you guys haven't heard of Ranjan Das, he was one of the biggest CEOs in the world at one point, or the youngest CEO to run a big company. He was very active, extremely active. He would hit the gym every day. He would have a superb diet. He would work hard, be inspirational to his staff. So if I can ask you guys, do you know why he had an unfortunate death at the age of 42? It's a question out to you guys. If anyone wants to answer, or is it possible for anyone to answer? Do you want to have a raise of hands or something? Or you can type it on the chat box. Perfect. Stress. Yes, it is linked to stress. It is.
Is it because of a cardiac arrest?
Yes, it is because of cardiac arrest. Why do you think? So they pin it down, lack of sleep. So you should sleep only 3 to 4 hours a day. So clearly that wasn't recommended. So that's why, guys, we have to understand the entire process of wellness, not just one part of it. And unfortunately for this great man, he missed out on that. So with his death, also, he's teaching us so many things, and we should appreciate that. And also, the other thing is, I think you guys are all late 20s, probably early 30s, or at least most of you guys. Or you in early 20s. I'm not sure which age range. I'm really sorry about that. I should have asked before. But yep. And can you guys, so you guys think that, so then there was another research that I read. Like, can you make up for years of poor eating? It says that it's difficult to undo what is done. However, I think you can actually make some change. Probably you can't undo it, but you can actually redirect it to a better state than continuing it in the same way. So, since I'm talking to a younger audience, I would like to say, start now. Don't think, okay, after I pass out, when I get to a good stable state economically, I can change my life. Guys, that doesn't happen. So what your good habits now, or the habits that you have now, is what you will take forward. And if you have any bad habits, try to reduce it or completely get rid of it now. So that's why I wanted to bring this example. Why wellness? A healthy community. You need to be happy first, guys. It's not only economic happiness, it's also a holistic happiness that you need. You need to be happy with what you do. You need to have a positive attitude. You need to be productive to this community, to this world. You need to be fit, which is part of our role. Free of illnesses, that's a health concept. Self-confidence to go forward, to do what you like to do. And mindfulness is to have emotional and mental peace. So wellness is all of it, guys. So wellness is a multidimensional model. So there are many models. This is a model that we go by at TAS. So it has 6 components. And we believe that exercise through can cover at least 3 of these components of wellness. So, physical exercise can help you physically and mentally. Mentally, in terms of feel good factor, or feeling calm if you're doing continuous exercises, as in long, slow distance. So, like endorphin release, so on and so forth. So, when you exercise, you fall into communities that is different from work, different from home, where you meet different people. So the social aspect is developed. And the environment, you always change the environment when you exercise. So at TAS, what we do is we have 3 different locations or 3 different places as we train. So we get them out of office to outdoors, we bring them inside the gym, or we take them to a ground, and we ensure that the environment is always different in terms of the physical environment, and also the entire feeling of either working out early morning or exercising, being with the community in the morning or in the evening after work, relieving stress. So wellness has a direct correlation with exercise. The only few things that we cannot probably move into is the mental and the spiritual and the emotional aspect of it. Sometimes exercise has a correlation with emotion, sometimes it doesn't. And certain exercises can have a spiritual aspect to it, but not all exercise. So wellness through exercise or exercise towards wellness can cover many components, but not all. So benefits of exercise: improve health. So I don't have to go through this one by one. You guys understand it. There are many benefits, but it doesn't pertain into 1 or 2 or 3. But it also doesn't have to be the benefit that has for someone else. So exercise benefits. So for example, I have clients who come in the morning. They come in at about 4:45 in the morning. Although when we start at 5, and they train till about 6:30, and they go off. And some of them do that because it's part of their routine. So for them, the benefit is more emotional and mental. And some of them come for aesthetic. So it doesn't have to be for one thing or the other. It can be for all, or it can be for just a mental sort of way of relaxing. The one question that Dinity said that most of you guys will ask about exercise per se would be ergogenic aids. So by definition, an ergogenic aid can be broadly defined as a technique or the way or a substance used for the purpose of enhancing performance. Right? Anabolic steroids, not permitted in my field. I don't think it should be. But people take it. And as people in your profession, I'm sure I don't need to explain further as to what they are. So some sort of supplementation that is used, I think I'm preaching to all the guys who are exercising here. Sorry, ladies, I'll get back to you all in the next question probably. So some proteins and can be used and they are permitted. They're used for many reasons, mainly. So protein is mainly used for recovery. It's for building the anabolic. So mainly protein works predominantly after exercise to help you rebuild. And also there are slow acting proteins like casein, which are used in sleep when you're sleeping, so that it helps you rebuild. But in general sense, a protein is used for building and for making, so anabolic. So some supplements are taken for hydration for long distance running, and if you're exercising for long distance. So we like to stick to Tambili and mix it with a bit of salt and maybe a bit of sugar if you need to, and try to avoid taking commercial products off the shelf. But you can use a mix of all these if you want to exercise. However, I'm not a fan of any sort of supplementation which cannot be substituted by food that we eat, which can be substituted by food that we eat. Therefore, you don't need to have anything other than the normal food unless you're competing at a different level. or you want to get to a different stage of your exercise. Okay. So that's what I have to tell you about supplementation. Sorry, one more thing. So I get a lot of questions about protein and what types of protein should you take. So whey protein is which is commonly used by everyone uh, in the general population and in sport. And there are three types of whey protein that they use: the concentrate, the isolate, and the hydrolysate. So they are of different compounds. So basically, the hydrolysate is the one that is easy to digest, and isolate is the one that is pure. And these have all the nine amino acids that are essential. So essential amino acids, I'll just go through this because I'm pretty sure you guys know it, but I'll just say it because I think just in case if someone doesn't. So we produce about 11 in our body, and 9 we have to take from the sources that we have and we need to eat. So these supplementation carries all 9. So they're complete. And so having them has no harm, but if you can have normal food and get these in, perfect. Or if you can have a mix of these, it's good enough. And casein is a slow digested protein that I spoke about before. You can have also plant-based proteins like soy, peas, and rice, good for vegans. And there are egg-based proteins for people who are lactose intolerant, right? Uh, Sorry, guys, do you have any questions about proteins and supplementation that you guys want to ask me?
Any questions, boys?
And girls, sorry.
Yeah, of course.
You can write it on the chat if you don't want to be identified, that's fine. I'll move on. So the next one was, I think Diniti told me was, okay, all of you guys have New Year resolutions and so on and so forth. And you guys always start something, but you'll find it very difficult to finish it, or the commitment is probably, or the motivation dies down and it doesn't convert into commitment, right? So motivation is what gets you started. So that's, I think all of us have that, right? So say we go in front of a mirror, we see a little bit of a pot, or we climb up the stairs and we feel tired, or we see someone, or we have a wedding to go to, party to go to, whatever. That's where the motivation kicks in, right? Okay, I need to do this. But halfway through, what happens is, oh my God, I can't do this. I have more important things. That is where the problem starts. Okay. This we go day in and day out with our clients, right? So that is where the problem starts. Then you start finding excuses for yourself, right? I have too much of work. I don't have time during the day, right? Other priorities are more important, right? Such as probably picking up the kids, ensuring you're there for the kids, or meeting your other, uh, meeting your partner, going home for your parents, cooking food, whatever. So everything becomes a priority in your life, right? There are questions. Sorry, let me see here.
Yeah, the studies. Due to studies, we also skip the things. I have to do studies and
Of course. So
wait.
everything becomes an excuse, right? So then, for me, what I tell my clients is all of that is valid. All of that is valid. Also, what is valid are NCDs, right? So what I tell my clients are like generally is that your body understands only routine, right? Your body understands only routine. Your body does not understand anything else. Your body understands only routine. So if you go in a certain pattern, the body says, okay, this is how I'll behave. If you change the pattern, the body will adapt according to that pattern and then go along that pattern, right? So if you want to get fit, Okay, there's a certain requirement that you need to fulfill, and the body needs to, and the body understands it. Just because all of a sudden you get an exam and you stop the pattern and change the pattern, what happens? The body changes the pattern, right? And then you move towards your NCDs, right? Does the body understand, oh, this is priority, therefore I need to change? No, body doesn't, right? So, guys, when you start something, if you want to commit, right, I have a scale for you. So, motivation is always heavy at the start. What happens is it changes. So, the commitment has to be heavy later. But what happens is you guys forget. So, there are certain tricks in this trade that you can use to keep your not your motivation up, but to keep your commitment up. So that is to celebrate small wins. So if you get on a scale and if you have lost 500 grams, don't think about the 10 kilos that you have to lose. Celebrate the 500 grams that you have lost. There are reasonable goals, right? So tell yourself, I am going to exercise 3 times a day. And exercise meaning not only going to the gym. I will walk for 45 minutes. So if I miss going to the gym, I will walk from my workplace to the to my house. That's an exercise, right? So find a training person who can exercise with you. When I say exercise, guys, it doesn't mean that you have to go to the gym. It can be any sort of exercise, right? Yoga to walking to any physical activity, right? Accept that you have bad days. So when you have a training partner, that actually helps you. So when you have a bad day, that doesn't mean the training partner will have a bad day, right? Therefore, that will help you. And fear of failure. So you have a target, you have a goal, you achieve only 75% of it. That's okay. That's fine. Think of it as the glass is half full or 3/4 full. Don't think about the quarter that is empty, because the quarter that is empty is the one that will bring you down, not the 3/4 that is full. So those are the little tips that we give our clients and always talk to our clients about when they come up with, or when their motivation is low. For example, so one client would come and say, oh, I wanted to lose 1 kilo a week, and at the end of the month I have lost only 3 kilos. And we say, well, that's better than not losing any kilos. So the small wins, the small goals, and the people around you, the social factor, will take you forward. So that is my advice to you in terms of what happens in your busy life. How can you work around it to ensure that you can get towards your goals? So one example that I remember while telling you guys is that we had a small corporate challenge for a company which in Biagama, right? So we had some ladies who are very busy, like you guys probably. So we put a Fitbit on their wrist, and we were checking the amount of steps that they cover during the day. So the guys used to go for runs and cover and all that. Now these ladies who had to go home and cook for the kids. So what they did was they were walking around the house while cooking just to get the steps in. So for me, that was the biggest win, rather than getting people going to a gym and working out, because they were finding ways and methods of keeping that goal alive, rather than letting go, saying, oh, I got to cook. So that was a good motivator for us. And that's one of the examples that I want to bring in terms of motivation versus commitment. Motivation versus commitment, personal experiences that I can help you guys with.
Yeah, I guess you covered it in a great amount, and we got a really good understanding on that, because that was a crucial question that everyone asked about, because how to keep going once we start. That was the question. Among our busy schedules, it's not because we are busy, but it's because lack of commitment. If we set our mind up and set up achievable goals, we can achieve it. So thank you very much. I think you covered it up very well.
Yeah, thanks, Diniti. And at the same time, fear of failure. Guys, it's okay to fail, right? It's okay not to achieve your goal. You'll be upset for one day, next day, get up, have a new goal, and move forward. That is what commitment is about, right? All right. Next one, age, gender, and current status. Sorry, my picture's a bit off. So current status is the most important rather than gender and age. I don't think really age and gender has a massive impact, but well, for it all. Are you fit and healthy to achieve your goal you set? So, for example, if someone says, "Oh, I want to lose 10 kilos," okay, first question you need to ask yourself is, am I ready to lose 10 kilos? Not only physically, am I ready to lose 10 kilos mentally and physically? That's when you probably need a bit of help, where you go to someone, a professional in the field. It may be a dietitian, he may be a scientist, can be a person who has a bit of experience, and ask, what do you do to do this? Okay, or watch some good informative YouTube clips, not just random ones, and maybe some research, right? And you can do yourself a self-assessment. You can get them to do an assessment of you and understand where you are, a starting point, and then see whether your goal is whether your goal matches your current status in terms of your health and in terms of your level of fitness. So that is where your current status is most important. Then age. A lot of people say, I have seen, I have heard, however much we tell, it is very difficult to change the mindset of people. But the older you get, the most important type of exercise would be strength training. Because cardiovascular training has a lot of wear and tear. What it'll do is it'll bring down or reduce or create more atrophy than hypertrophy. As a result, we'll go towards OA, right? So what we want to people to do is, yes, have a bit of cardiovascular exercise the older you get. However, concentrate a lot more on your strength training. The best example I can give you is that my mom probably needs a knee replacement, but we're prolonging it by doing strength training. We're prolonging it as much as we can, so that we might have to at some point, but maybe not now, under the guidance of the doctor, to and she's doing a lot of strength training at the gym. She's meeting the physio, she's having that chat, having the conversation at the age of 70, and trying to do something about it. So strength training is very important the older you get, but strength training is important at any point of your life. And there's a lot of research now that says that strength training might be is definitely beneficial for every type of training. So cardiovascular training is important, but strength training might be the most important, right? And the next one is gender. Guys, to be honest, I do not see a difference between gender. And sadly, I feel that girls, you all feel that you all are going to be like this when you lift weights. It's never going to happen. This is definitely due to anabolic steroids. Unless you take anabolic steroids, this is never, ever, ever, ever. I don't know. I can't say how much I can emphasize that. It is never, ever. I have never seen in my lifetime a person getting this much of muscle definition, girls especially, due to weight training, unless they have some sort of external like anabolic steroids. Guys, yes, you have a lot more testosterone in your body, therefore you can look like this. If you will not exactly like this, but close to this, if you do certain amount of diet and exercise and training and sleep and so on and so forth. And the best example that I can bring is, I have a current lady who's pregnant. I train a lot of prenatal clients who runs 10 kilometers a day. and there's no problem with it. So I don't think gender or has any impact on it. And that girl running 10 kilometers a day, being pregnant, talks about her current status. She's a marathon runner. She's pregnant. If I stop her from running, she's going to be depressed during her entire pregnancy and maybe after a pregnancy. I rather keep her happy within the frame for safe framework. She's not running the 21s and the 42s anymore. But I'm getting her to run 10K, that's fine. She's perfectly fine. The baby is healthy. She's going to give birth probably in another 2 months. And she ran the entire during her entire pregnancy. So there's no problem. So age, gender, I don't think is really important, but current status. How healthy are you? Have you been a previous athlete and you haven't trained for the next past 5 years? Well, you're at zero. Tough. You being an athlete probably mentally will help, but physically will take some time for you to get back. So understand your current status. That is the most important thing I would like to say. Yeah. Any questions on current status?
So the gender doesn't matter, no? I mean, there's no need to get a discrimination because we're as fit as you guys. So, any question from the audience?
Yes, but my question is actually, I'm sorry, it's regarding the previous section, sir, about the motivation commitment part. In it, I feel like there's this, I don't know, is there a way to tackle this conundrum of where you're trying to be idealistic versus realistic of like, when we, in the case of a medical student in particular, where obviously time is a factor, and I mean, we can, like you said, obviously, there are so many obligations, things that we and everyone has to do, and a lot of times we have to bask at them as excuses. But it's like, even when you take that case of that youngest CEO, Ranjan, Mr.
Yeah.
Ranjan. I mean, in that case, he was an individual with a lot of motivation, commitment, and obviously so many responsibilities, and he didn't really have any excuses. But time was a factor on his end as well, and he tried to combat that by compromising his sleep, and that, well, kind of negatively affected him at the end. I mean, can we? I mean, obviously there are some, like, few people who still can, I guess, manage and do everything, but when it comes to, like, generally speaking, students, I mean, is it just because of the fact that they can't manage and they just cannot commit, or I mean, is there a way to sort of uh, like, the ideal scenario is, of course, balancing everything, not really considering those as excuses, and kind of, and sleeping and doing everything right. But realistically, yeah, I mean, in particular to medical students, I mean, is there, I mean, how can a student really kind of, tackle that situation, starting from little steps or something? I mean, I'm not sure.
So Abhishek, that's a good question. I also want to maybe ask you a question. So what is ideal to you?
Ideal, I would say ideal would obviously be me balancing my studies and other obligations, as well as paying enough attention to my physical well-being.
So it's very subjective. So that's what I want to get at, right? So what is ideal to you might be not ideal to someone else, right? So what any human being, or you, me, anyone, we need to understand limitations, right? For example, say I want to go climb Everest tomorrow. Okay, can I manage my time to do that? No, I can't. Why? Because I have kids, I have family, I run a business. I can't. So that's why I said the goals have to be reasonable, right? But Ranjan Das didn't understand well, with all due respect to him, I don't want to talk. Let's not talk about Ranjan Das, but let's talk about an individual who's not sleeping but prioritizing everything else. Is that a smart thing to do?
No, not really.
Not really. So maybe he needs to work around something else in his life that he doesn't harm his health first. So you need to have priorities in your life. So probably that's I spoke about before. It's not economic that is priority. Yes, at a young age, that's what you aspire to have, right? We understand, all of us do. But I think health should come first, right? You need to survive, you need to live to do everything else, right? So then you write down a priority list. Okay, some things you can do it this year, some things you can do it next year. We don't know. That depends on your personality, on what you want to do, right? Maybe you want to ace your exams this year, right? If you want to ace your exam this year, you're not going to fill your schedule with exercise and sleeping and working up and diet and making your food right and all that. You won't do that. Why? Because your priority is the other one. But within that priority of becoming the number one in the batch, okay, what you can do is, like I said before, walk home. Okay, walk to your this thing. Walk to your wherever you live, from your hostel or home or whatever, right? Yeah, I studied abroad. We used to walk to. I used to cycle. Like it takes 30 minutes in the freeway to go to my uni, and if I cycle, also it takes 30 minutes because there's no traffic. So I would cycle.
Right.
So I wouldn't waste time. I'll be a bit more tired, but I won't waste time. So, like little things within the framework of your goal, you change. That's what you do. And the next year, what happens is those little things become wider and bigger. And you can change a lot more things. You become better at managing time. So that's also a skill. So first make small changes in your life, and that will help you make bigger changes in your life. So it's a very good question, because I think something I missed, I understood by that question. There's nothing in absolution, guys. You can't take everything in absolution. සිංහලෙන් කිව්වොත් ඒක ගලේ කෙටුවාසේ ගන්න බෑ. තමාර තැන් එහෙම මාරු වෙලා අර දියපාරක් යනකොට ගලක් වටේ යනවා වගේ යන්න පුළුවන්. It doesn't have to be from point A to point B. It can be around the obstacles to point B. It doesn't matter, because y'all are on a journey. Y'all are not just going to a destination. That journey will have trees and rocks and mountains and slopes and whatnot. But end of the day, that journey will give you that experience of time management, life management, so on and so forth. So nothing can happen overnight. So make the goals reasonable. I think if it's point 2, if you looked at point 2, that would have answered the question as well.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. So it's basically being aware of the current situation and then making those little changes around things that you can, and progress.
And also prioritizing what you really want in life.
Yeah.
And understanding that health is very important, but also at a young age, you can again at a young age maneuver around it if you want to. Better than us. I would say me. I don't want to put anyone else there. Better than me, because I'm slightly older. But definitely better than me. You have a better choice in terms of probably breaking rest a bit more than me as well.
Thank you.
No worries. Any other question?
So we should learn to compromise and understand our potential and our priorities and keep going.
Yeah, but also aiming for the stars, okay, guys? Just don't compromise in terms of what you want to do. But there's always a way around something. That's what you need to understand.
So, Mr. Abhivardhana Sistihara, my question is related to one of the points that were mentioned in one of the initial slides. It said that 86.7% out of the population are not indulged in exercise, and I'm afraid to say that I am also amongst them. So the thing is, I'm fortunate to have friends who encourage me to do or to exercise. But the thing is, I find it very hard or difficult to initiate or to do them because I feel very tired. It hurts. For instance, I feel like I need a longer period of rest or maybe can't keep up with the exercise. So if there's something to overcome that, how not to, why do I feel tired like that, and a way to overcome it. And the other question is, um, just a couple of minutes ago, you just mentioned that walking. Okay, well, I do understand it's kind of subjective as how wellness is to a certain individual. But then again, um, if I were to ask how effective is walking for, like, let's say 20 minutes to exercising, like hard exercises for 10 to 15 minutes, as a person who does not exercise at all, and me personally, I do not exercise at all, and I find it hard. It hurts. So, for a person like me, what would you recommend? Like a difficult or hard cardio for like 15 and 20 minutes, or walking for 20 minutes? How efficient would that be?
Okay,
I'm not sure if I was clear. Was I clear?
very clear.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. So what was the name? Sorry, I saw it for brief.
This was Tihara.
Yeah, Tiara, what will you enjoy in terms of physical activity? Walking or a hard workout?
Well, walking would it certainly be, because when you, if it's hard, I mean, when it's like hard cardio, it definitely hurts a lot. I can't keep up. I can't go for like 20 minutes at a stretch, or even let's say you do a 20 minutes workout within a given period of 1 hour, I still can't do it. So compared to that, I would prefer walking.
Then walk, no issues. Because you need to
Would
do
that
that.
be efficient as like
Doesn't
for the
matter.
wellness?
Doesn't matter, Tiara. What matters is you walking first. You walking and getting that confidence, number one, right? I think somewhere getting that confidence which you lack right now, right? What you said was, from all what you said, I understood is you're not confident enough mentally. Here, you're here. You don't have that self-confidence mentally to work out with your friends. Why? Yes, and the fear of failure. So those are the two things that you're missing, right? So if you enjoy walking, and if you think walking, and walking does help, right? I also walk on my off days. I get up in the morning. I think I'm going to run 10 kilometers. I can't take 5 steps. And I'm like, oh God, okay. But something's better than nothing. I'm just going to walk. So I walk that duration. So my 10 kilometers is roughly under an hour. So what I do is I walk under an hour. I probably get 3 kilometers in. Doesn't matter. I'm 3 kilometers closer to my goal than I was before. Well, I'm 7 kilometers shorter than the goal that I wanted to, but it's a half, the glass is half full. I'm not going to think about the glass that is half empty. That's going to demotivate me. Why would I want to think about that? Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Yes, I certainly do. Yep.
So you make those baby steps. You walk 5 minutes. If that's 5 minutes that you can do, then the next time you try to walk 6 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 9 minutes, without you knowing you're walking for 40 minutes. When you're at about 30, 40 minutes, go try your exercises that your friends are doing, and you will surprise yourself. I'll guarantee that. So again, it's a journey. Have I answered your question?
Yeah, you certainly have. And also the previous one, like, why do I feel so tired? Is it because of the same reason, like lack of confidence? Because the fear of failure,
I
Why?
would think so, and also definitely physical fitness for sure. But physical fitness is something that you can overcome in about 2 3 weeks. It's not a problem. But the rest of it is something that will take some time.
Uh-huh. Okay. Yep, I got it.
Any more questions, guys? I'm happy to answer. It's better than doing a presentation. All right, we'll move on. Anyone wanted to answer? We'll move on. We'll move on, right? Recovery modalities. Sorry?
Let's move on, sir.
Yeah, recovery modalities and sleep. Oh, but most of you guys don't have. Okay. So when it comes to exercise, what is more important? Diet. Diet is a form of recovery. That's what I think, right? Because if you diet only, you get your energy. That's regenerating recovery. 50% is diet, 25% is exercise, and 25% is rest. How important is sleep for recovery? I know as students, y'all don't get it. I understand, right? But I have to tell you the right thing. You need 7 to 9 hours of sleep if you want to have some sort of physical change in your body, right? Uh, Losing even a few hours of sleep, you have declarative or cognitive. So I want to bring in cognitive function is because you guys think you can cram for an exam overnight and go and write the exam. Man, that's going to be really tough to ace that exam. I have tried it, tried and tested. But so your body, that's how it works. So sleep is very important, guys. There are other modalities: massage, ice bath. My thesis is on recovery, so I know massage, ice bath. What do? They do stretching. They think about everything else, everything but sleep. And all the sleep study says there's no point doing anything. I'm talking in terms of athletes, right? No point doing anything if you don't sleep for a good 7 to 9 hours. So at least I would say, I would tell my clients, it's in this busy environment, at least get 6 to 6.5 hours. If not, don't come and speak to me. I have clients who want to come as I said, at 4:40 in the morning. I said, don't come and talk to me if you have a late night, because it's a waste of the entire program that we have planned for you. So for our athletes, if they miss their sleep 1 or 2 days, their entire 1 year program can get messed up. So that's how important sleep is, because it has residual fatigue, that concept coming in, right? So sleep deprivation, memory issues, mood swings, risk of diabetes, low sex drive, guys, are very important for you guys. Concentration issues, high blood pressure, weight gain. Basically, if you have sleep, if you are deprived of sleep, you're going to have a lot of problems. And I know you guys are going to be resident doctors, you're going to be overnight on call. But end of the day, this is what it is. This is reality. This is what is going to happen. This is the research. So no one can this thing. Yes, you can get away from it for a few years probably, but then it's going to catch up at some point. So be smart about the decisions you make at a young age. Okay, I'll move on to nutrition. So I'm just going to go through nutrition quickly. We've taken a lot of time, and I think Shan is waiting to do his ergonomics, right? So carbs, fats, and proteins, macros, micros are vitamins, minerals, and organic compounds. I think during COVID and after COVID, I think micros became like really important. Everyone was talking about vitamin D. Oh my God, we are not getting vitamin D. They didn't want to stand out in the sun, but they wanted to take a pill. And there's no point standing out in the sun with sunblock and covering yourself. Yeah, doesn't make sense for vitamin D. But micros are as important. ADEC, ADEK, very important for you guys. As important as macros for absorption and solubility. So carbohydrate, proteins, and fats, very basic stuff. There are good fats and bad fats. Coconut was bad 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Now coconut is the best. So research changed. So be updated about the research. And oils, In terms of oils, fish has a lot of good oil. The ratio omega-3 to omega-6. So all those matter. I think you guys are well aware of that. If you have any questions, you can ask. I'm just going to go through it. So 7 to 10 grams of carbohydrates. This is for a balanced diet. Okay. This is not to lose weight. Please don't misunderstand. So 7 to 10 grams of carbohydrates is required. Roughly 0.66 grams per kilo of body weight. But I think the newer standard, if you want to look, if you're gymming and stuff, it's 1.2. And if you're an athlete, it can go up to 1.5, 1.6 grams of protein per body weight, and 10 to 15 or less than 10 to 15% of fat, and out of which it has to be good fat, right? Extreme diets are fads or a fashion. It is a fashion. So ketogenic diet, I think, well, I don't want to take names, but there are a lot of heart attacks due to not a lot, but there is certain part of evidence for ketogenic diet and for cardiovascular issues. Vegan diet, tough. Vegan diet is tough, especially in Sri Lanka. Vegan food is not available. Atkins is high protein, high fats, probably same as keto or close to keto. And some people like to eat food raw and organic. Trust me, I've met all 4 types of these people, and it's tough. When this happens, it's tough. I have a girl who's type 2 diabetes and vegan. Man, that's really tough to manage, right? So you have to, again, understand limitations of yourself and try not to go into popular diets, extreme diets, right? And move into a more sustainable diet that you can do based on your economy, based on your time, based on things that you can best manage, and try to work with a diet within that framework rather than trying to go into extreme diets such as this. Any questions on that? I will move on. Everyone is running late. Eh? So, exercise, components of exercise, cardiovascular and respiratory, good for your heart and circular vascular system, and muscle and strength. That is what I feel is the most important. If you're doing a program, concentrate at least 60% into strength training. Does not mean you're lifting weights, guys. Now, if you can see this picture, this person is not lifting any weights, but that's still strength training. Okay, so strength training does not mean you're lifting weights. Okay, it's not weight training. So flexibility, speed and agility, and for me, the biggest thing is recovery. That's why I brought in as the 5th component. So stretching, sleep, hydration, nutrition, ice bath, massage, you name it, everything is recovery. Okay, so if you are doing the 4 components of physical movement, you need to have at least 25% of that time allocated for recovery. Boom. How much of exercise do you need? It depends on what you want and the calories. So if you want to gain weight, you probably need to eat more and probably exercise in a way that you're gaining weight, probably not exercise less. But if you want to lose weight, you lose the calories. It's a calorie deficit. That's the only way you gain and lose. Deficit or increase. So type of work matters. Your basal metabolic rate, those are too technical, doesn't need to matter. Important. Leisure and recreational activity, that 86.7% you're talking about was not work, but leisure. So your health, what your health status is, your age in terms of cardiovascular strength, like I told you before, the older you get, probably concentrate more on strength training. Quickly go into the summary. Guidelines, guys, at least 300 minutes of exercise in moderate intensity, if you can, per week. Modest weight loss is 1 kilo a week, nothing more. Adequate rest and the diet, there should be the are important, are as important as, or even more important than exercise. The gold standard of losing weight, maximum energy utilization is running. Running at high intensity at the and utilizes the most amount of calories, whereas moderate intensity uses less. But however, if you are not used to running, walking is good enough. Okay. For an untrained individual, like I said, for an untrained individual, running is an extended period might be challenging. I've answered that. So say injury free running is you don't have to run. And also what I told about partner training, right? Those are the main things that you need to cover.